In the November release, you can now flatten recursive structures in the DSQL map editor. Here's how it works, using an example where you transform a hierarchical JSON of employees into a flat CSV. The JSON input contains employees nested in teams across multiple hierarchy levels. The goal is to generate a CSV listing each employee, job, manager, and salary columns. The first step is to enter the recursive expression. This automatically walks through all nested teams and tracks the manager using a variable. Then, the second step is to map the input fields to the output columns as usual, and use the variable for the manager column. And that's it. The test run displays a flat CSV, with each employee and their manager relationship on a single row. The cSQL component is improved in this release. A new type option is added in the basic settings view, allowing you to select the source type of the SQL query from within the component, the Studio repository, and the local file system. Multi-line query statement is now supported. You can format the SQL statement in multi-lines. The SQL query will be correctly parsed. You can also use the SQL Builder editor to create a query in it. A drop-down list of most useful options is added in the name field of the URI options table in the advanced settings view. The options are grouped in common, producer, and consumer categories. You can either select the URI option from the drop-down list, or enter an option name that is not available in the list. A new Return Generated Keys from Inserts checkbox is also added in the advanced settings view to retrieve generated keys when inserting data into a table configured with an auto-incrementing key. The generated keys are contained in the message header cSQL generated key rows. To specify which generated column should be retrieved, you can enter the column names in the expected keys table, for example, ID. In this subroute, we will insert 3 rows in the users table. In the clog component, if we specify the header cSQL generated key rows as the output log message, we can get the generated keys when running the route. Streamable HTTP transport type is now supported in the cLangChainMCPClient component, which operates over HTTP and allows for more flexible server implementations for remote MCP server communication. A new headers table is added for SSE and streamable HTTP transport types in the advanced settings view of cLangChainMCPClient. To specify your authentication information for MCP requests, you can add a line with authorization in the key field and your credentials in the value field. In the December release, context variables and multiple output records are now supported in the tDSQL4 JSON component. Here's how it works, using an example with a JSON file listing countries and their global time zones. Let's say you want to filter the results to display countries with more than 3 time zones. To view the result in a test run, you need to define the variable in the new context variables option in the basic settings view. To view the result in the job execution, you need to define the variable directly in the job context. Here the result is displayed in the test result field. Then, let's say you want to expand array outputs at job execution. You need to select the new Emit Multiple Rows in the advanced settings view. When you run the job, the array is split and each country is a separate record. You can now use semantic types in the tDQRules component. You can use existing and custom semantic types. In this scenario, we want to validate that, if the customer name is fulfilled, the input US state matches the US state code semantic type. Create the rule in Qlik Talend Data Integration and connect the Studio. Select the app, enter the URL and the API key. Fetch the rules to retrieve the JR file. When it is done, select the rule and click Refresh Table. Associate the rule variables to the input columns. If you are using a dynamic column, select a fact column. Run the job and see which data is valid, invalid, or not applicable.